2018. Would you all please stand and join us in citing the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is approval of minutes. We have 3 sets. What is the board's pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the August 29th, 2018 meeting and the September 5th, 2018 meeting as submitted.
Second.
And we have a motion by Christine and a second by Rick. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, none. Unanimous decision. And we have one more set.
And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to waive the reading of the minutes and approve the minutes as submitted for September 12th, 2018.
We have a motion by Christine. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jim. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, none. Any abstentions?
Abstention.
Abstention, Mr. Blanchard. Public comment. Anyone in the audience who would like to address the board with any item that is not on tonight's agenda, could you please come up, state your name and your address, please, for the record.
I don't know what I do first with chairman, selectmen, selectwoman, and my name is Pete Lipka from 37 Valley Street. The last time I was here was probably a little over a year ago, and it's when we had the big rainstorm, and we had the flooding all throughout town. And I live at Valley Street, and we have the issue going on over at Grant Street with the manholes. And for the record, I would just like to know what's happened from when we last met a year ago to today. What has transpired and what have you found out? So as far as we know what's going on, does anyone know?
I'd first like to start off by saying something in general, then we'll get to a little bit of details. The select board and the town administrator are working very closely with our state representatives, Senator Adam Hines and Representative John Barrett. They have been working closely together also to find ways of securing financial aid to the town to help in restoring some of the issues that we've had. They are working that, no guarantees, but they are working very hard to do that. We have spoken to both offices, both gentlemen, to show the concern that the board has and the town administrator does have. The 2 gentlemen, our 2 representatives, will be visiting Adams at some point in the near future to view the destruction, to call it, get their own look at it, and hopefully that will sink in and make them fight even harder. But they have shown concern. They are coming here, and they are working with the legislature to identify funding ways to fund these concerns that we've come across, these issues. Donna, do you want to address the Grant Street? From what you know, because it started off when the previous town administrator was here. And
So the Grant Street area, we've actually done some analysis, and so that, to answer your question, we have a formal study prepared by an engineer evaluating the drainage system in Grant Street. We have a cost estimate based on that analysis of it would cost $550,000 estimate to fix all the drainage issues in Grant Street. Since I've had the opportunity to meet with you and Mrs. Avery, I've met with our engineer today. We're lining up doing, as kind of a first step, we're going to have survey done in your neighborhood. That's important to identify actual locations of the, the drainage structures, to physically locate them on a map so we can get toward preparing construction documents. The other thing, we'll be doing test borings. One of the concerns that we have is that some of the oddities in the neighborhood could be the result of ledge. And so we need to determine where that ledge is and improvements to the drainage system, how we work around that, or we're going to have to drill through. So I guess the answer, and I'm happy to share that drainage study with you if you would like to have a copy of it, but we are kind of moving forward, albeit slowly.
I guess my question is, I think everybody knows the answer to the question, but you don't want to admit it, that whenever that road was overdone years ago, when was that road done and the drainage put in?
I'm sorry, I do not know. Maybe somebody on the board knows.
For our time, I think.
Correct. And the drainage was put in backwards because the drain comes from, I mean, this is what we hear, and I'm sure everybody's heard it, is when they did the road, when they put the manholes in, when they come from the top, it's supposed to be a bigger outlet from the manhole to a smaller, and then a bigger outlet. No, it's supposed to
No,
be
it's
smaller
reverse.
to a bigger, you know, right, from manhole to manhole. So you take, everybody think about it this way, you take a funnel and you fill it up with water. It takes forever the funnel to empty out. But if you turn it around and put the water in through the skinny end, that water just flies right out. And they got it wrong. And my question is how did it get put in that way if it is that way?
Well, first of all, I think your characterization is a little extreme. There's one situation where that occurs, where actually a bigger pipe goes into a smaller pipe. It's actually a small segment. I'll show you the plans.
Oh, no.
Otherwise, it is what you would anticipate. Smaller pipes coming into the system, and as you go downhill, bigger and bigger pipes. So that's the way it is constructed, I assure you.
It's constructed that way now?
Yes, yes.
So
There's a lot of other peculiarities. There's up elevation from you. There's a lot of, what do I want to say, springs coming into that people don't know where they begin or end. There are other situations where and I don't have all my good stormwater language, but when the pipe coming into a catch basin is above the outlet, and so what happens is when you have extreme storms, the velocity of the water is coming, it's hitting that side of the catch basin. That's what causes the bubbling up that we were seeing in the video. And then it has to work its way down to, so there's a number of odd things going on that's what we need to correct. So we're starting to identify the peculiarities and the extent of the problems, and then we come up with a solution, so.
The front of my house, we've got Valley Street. Valley Street's just like Grant Street. Everything goes down Valley Street perfect in the manholes. And we got a section there that you think, just because it's that one little section, if that was reversed, it might take the water quicker because it's hitting that spot because it's not kosher, I think. I don't know. And when they did their studies, what did they do? Did they put a light down through what else did they do? What did the town do? They had a guy go up there. What was the study? They went through there with a flashlight and they ground out some roots? Did you know anything about that?
Are you talking about the study
Grant Street.
The study that we did?
Yeah, what
Okay,
was that all about? Because we don't know nothing, we don't hear nothing.
So it's just an analysis of the existing storm drainage system.
Yep.
And they look at different storm events. So they look at a 10-year storm, a 20-year storm, and a 100-year storm event. And they look at each of those structures and the pipes, and during what storm events do they fail? And they identify what parts of that overall system fail at that different level of storm events.
Okay, you say once every 100, I heard that last year, 100 years. This year, we had 2 in 1 week. Last Tuesday and this past
Exactly right.
Tuesday.
That's really the crux of the matter, is that, and this is true, and I know the board knows this is unfortunately true across the town and across the Commonwealth, that our existing storm drainage system is based on a storm event that it's in the past. We've got to upgrade our storm drainage systems to accommodate these very intense storms. I mean, in some cases, it's not 100 years, it's a 500-year storm that you're experiencing. So that's the problem, is how you take that underground infrastructure and update it Obviously, it's very costly, so we have to be smart about it. We're not going to be able to replace every pipe, so we have to be smart about how we go about it. So,
How long do you think this process is going to take? Will I
for your
still,
particular neighborhood,
well, yeah.
it's hard to say. I would hope it's solved within a year. But that is just my, that's what I'm hoping. You guys are ahead of the curve in the sense that you've been recognizing that this is an issue for your neighborhood. And so we have taken preliminary steps. But it is a long process to go from analysis to concept to design to, bid documents and finding construction dollars.
So I guess I shouldn't
Work
take a
with us.
summer vacation because if we get a 2-inch storm, I'm going to get flooded.
Keep involved in our process. We'll be working more closely with the neighborhood. And you showed me your beautiful garden and the damage that was done to it, so.
Congratulations to the fire department, the highway department, the police, and all the other people that were out there fighting this thing for the last couple of weeks. Congratulations. And I did notice the night before on Monday night, there were bags set up over there on that driveway. And I said to myself the next day, I'm no engineer, but I walked from my backyard and you can see that, the bags are in the guy's driveway and where it comes in, it goes right through Char's yard, down into back to my yard, and all over in there. I mean, you got water to clean up in your cellar to suck off and pull everything out of there like twice in 2 weeks. But that's the story. Where they have the bags, you got a manhole there, and a manhole here, here's his driveway. But Grant Street comes down like this, and where the manholes are right here, and then it goes up over this way to Lincoln. So it's like this, it's a hollow there. Those sandbags, it's just gonna fill up and go over the top. You need a 4-foot wall maybe to keep the water out. So
Oh, yeah,
that could be an answer. 4-foot wall, just build the wall.
No, I don't think that would be attractive
I
within
know,
the
it ain't
neighborhood.
attractive, but. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Anyone else who would like to address the, yes? Please state your name and your address.
Avery, 6 Grant Street. Same issue.
Yes, I know.
Okay, you've answered a lot of my questions and concerns with Peter. But I just want you to know that these aren't 100-year floods. I've lived in that house for 39 years. And when we moved in, the neighbor, he was Mr. Beaupre. And he told us the first time we had a flood, this has been going on all of his life, and he was all of 70 at the time. And over the years, the floods have done a havoc on our foundation. We had the fire department up there last Wednesday because we have 2 small pumps, but they weren't doing it. So they came up, they had this neat little pump, and it pumped 62.5 gallons of water a minute. So last Thursday, I bought one. Came Friday in the mail, and we used it yesterday. Now, we went in the cellar, we were able to get it just when it started, not 20 minutes later. We had that thing going for an hour, and it pumped 62.5 gallons a minute, which is 3,750 gallons of water an hour. If we hadn't have been home, forget it. Now, I mean, what would I do? I've got 2 hot water heaters down there, a washer and a dryer. To replace those every time we get a flood isn't going to happen. I can't do it. Does the town help in situations like that? Take it off my taxes a little bit, or buy the new pumps and the new washer and dryer? I don't know. Do you have funding for that? It doesn't look like you do,
I
no.
don't believe so, but what I can say to you and to Peter, and you've been here before, and
Yeah.
some of us realize that, and you've been very good in working with the town, have a lot of patience. But all I can tell you is that this board and this town administrator are very committed to see this through to completion. We understand now more than ever the issues, and we visited, some of us have been up there, and we're committed to fix this problem. We're very committed to doing that now.
Well, the thing is, now there's holes in the floor that are about that big.
Understood?
And I'm afraid to go anywhere. If it started raining right now, I'd be out that door and flash. I've got a DVD here. I gave Donna one. If you people want it or need it, I'd be happy to leave it with you.
Sure.
Donna does have a copy. It's only a minute long. I'm not talking on it, I'm not complaining, I'm not yelling. I deleted all that part out.
I made a copy.
I did, stone quiet.
I made a copy of the, for the engineers today, so.
Oh, you don't
Let's-
need it?
Well, no, I think the board would,
okay.
not
Yeah,
enjoy
like
seeing
this.
it, it's alarming.
The original with all the talking.
But I was able to make a copy and provide that. I thought nothing like seeing it firsthand, so I gave that to the, made a copy to give it to the engineers, so.
I couldn't send it in email, it was too big, files weren't
Yeah.
gonna go, so.
No,
Thank you
appreciate
very
that.
much.
Yeah, I'd like to just reiterate a little bit that
Okay.
I and all the selectmen, we know that this is going on. As Donna mentioned, hydrology is very complicated, and you can see it throughout Adams when we have these heavy rain events. Living in a valley, V-shaped valley with ledges on most of the mountains, we don't have much absorption of water when it's coming off our mountains. And what happens is that as all the rivulets fill up and the water goes into the main tributaries, you're seeing events that we haven't seen before in the sequence that we're seeing them. I'm a believer in climate change. I think climate change, we have already got money, vulnerability studies. We were the first in the state, I believe, to get grants because we realize that this is going to happen. It accelerates more in our community because of our topography. As you can see, the last storms that we've had, we've lost bridges. I lost the road across from my house. I've had flooding in my cellar of my warehouse that I never had before. The water table gets purged, and there's nowhere for the water to go, so the only place that it can go is upwards until you get enough time where the water can seep back in. And this is going to continue in this community. We have to make a long-term effort, and we have to sit down together as a board and a community to find where these problems exist and try to work together to rectify them. It won't be easy, and in some cases it may be impossible. So we're going to need, because it all comes from studies. In hydrology, there's people that are schooled in hydrology. I'm not. I know a little bit about it, and it makes it very difficult in this town. And I fear in the future it's going to escalate even more. So, in short, you have my sympathy, Peter, and all the people in this community that have to go through this. And I know for myself, it's affected my home a little bit, which it never has before. I have a big warehouse, as you know, and in the cellar in my warehouse, I had about 3 inches of rain because there's just nowhere for it to go. And that area has been prone to that, as you mentioned, when Mr. Beaupre lived there for years and years. But I promise you, I personally promise you that we'll work our best to try to do what we can to rectify it. But
Well, the thing is, we've tried to button up the house. We've
Yeah.
got heavy-duty gutters on now. This summer, well, maybe May, we had someone come in and they put some kind of liquid tar all
Right.
along the foundation, and then they put some blacktop and they kind of
Right.
banked it. We've had epoxy put down on the floor in the cellar to try to plug up the holes before we put more concrete and try to get it finished off. But it just keeps finding another way in.
yes, it will. Water is very tough to,
Yeah.
it finds its own course.
Yeah. Yeah. But I, too, as Peter did, I want to thank the DPW and the firemen. They were awesome. Really very helpful, very understanding.
Yeah, they do a good job.
Okay, thank you.
And I just apologize, I'm sorry for all the inconveniences that you
No, I know.
people
Well,
had.
we're closer than we were a year ago.
Okay.
That's the way I look at it.
Cheryl, on that pump that you have, is there a way they could put a float valve on there for you? So you wouldn't have to worry about leaving your house? I mean, you could have, so it stays up, but when the water comes up to a level, the pump will automatically turn on and pump you out.
Well,
It'll give you a little.
I could look in the booklet that came with it. What we'd have to do, though, is it comes with a 50-foot hose. It's 2 inches. And we run it up the cellar stairs and out the door. So we have to leave the door open, you know. But thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah. So I told Eric, I guess we
go right
You
back
have to
up.
come up to the podium if you want to speak.
Jimmy, what you're saying is, what you're saying, that's a sump pump, that would have to go down to the floor, and that would take away water in the ground. This is surface water coming down. This isn't coming up from the ground. This is on top of the earth. It hasn't even gotten time to get down. It's not gonna soak in the ground.
Well, I believe also that I don't know for sure, but I can bet my bottom dollar that you're getting water also coming up from the ground.
Well, maybe 10%, 90% coming from top.
Yeah, right, that's where
You know
the
what,
drainage.
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
But you know what? It's not just us. I mean, Lime Street, the people over there. And
My house.
I went down the dip because I went up the East Road. And, you know, I have property up there. And everybody's property on the east side of that road, well, you know, right across, it comes right across the street. That's probably where your water came from. I mean, it's just coming down from the east side of the, and it goes down there, and then it goes down to Lime Street. And then Brooks. I feel sorry for those people. I'm surprised there's nobody here from Lime Street today. Is that, do you know, Joe, if Lime Street, did they line that brook back in 2001 with big rock?
They
All
made
from
some.
top to bottom?
They
So
made
it
some
doesn't get washed
rip-wrapping. They rip-wrapped across from my house after Irene, but what had happened with this heavy rain, the rip-wrap was just kind of pushed back into the water, and the town came up and did what they could with the excavator to bring it back up, but, you know,
Now
if it failed once, it's gonna fail again, but they're doing what they can, but we
Right.
have to get a better feel of it, and, you know, dredging streams is a possibility, but we have to look at it. And once again, it's just so difficult to harness water.
Oh, man, that water was coming down from above
Yeah.
Lime Street,
I've never seen it.
across East Road.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking of poor people down Lime Street because
I
they
was
closed
up
it down.
there, there was boulders like this being moved.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
It was ugly.
Okay, anyone
right,
else?
thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
thanks, Pete.
Yes, please state your name, your address, please.
I saw the floors going
I
like
know,
this.
yeah.
Jason Natanko, 30 Grove Street here in town. So the reason why I'm calling is coming up here is a little bit different than what everybody else has done. Joe, I know you've seen me running first thing in the morning. I'm sure you're probably wondering why I'm getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go run. I think Pete's seen me run. For those of you who don't know, September is Childhood Cancer Month. It's Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. 4 cents on every dollar that's given to medical research is given to childhood cancer. I am lucky enough to say that none of my children have been diagnosed with cancer, thank God. And I always say that when I knock on wood. However, there's been plenty of people in this community, in Berkshire County, that can't say that. 12 years ago, I lost a daughter, stillbirth. And it took me a long time to get over it. And then all of a sudden, all the pain and everything that I had came rushing back at me when my childhood friend, Missy Cattuso, her boyfriend, Brian Gaida, had their son Connor diagnosed with leukemia at the age of 1. I broke down and I cried. Good news, though, is he's in full remission. And he's doing well, he's in school. Then I found another one. My sister-in-law's best friend had her son diagnosed with cancer. He's in remission. The one that really gets to me, though, and some of you may have heard the story, was a little 6-year-old boy up in Maine named Jacob Thompson. It was a friend of mine's son, diagnosed with stage 4 neuroblastoma. For those of you who may have heard of him, he was the little boy who last year passed away and wanted Christmas cards for an early Christmas present. Got cards all over the world sent to him. We had people, the police department went up to him at Barbara Bush Medical Center and made his last days very, very pleasurable. But the reason why that one got me close more than the other ones is at the age of 6, he decided he was going to come up with a bucket list on things he wanted to do before he passed away. And one of them was to kiss a girl that his mom didn't approve of. He actually got that one done. He kissed a Hooters girl at a local Hooters establishment up in Maine. Lucky kid. Then we know a couple of other kids who have passed away in the town, in this area. Tony Massanino, Xavi Forte, Those kids have died on a very cruel called DIPG. 100% fatal. So I run every year. This is only my third year running for Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation. It's a foundation that was developed by a 4-year-old girl who was diagnosed with cancer, went into remission, unfortunately came back and it took her life out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Ironically, the day that she passed away was 2 years exactly to the day that my daughter was born dead. So I'm sorry I'm getting a little choked up. I'm sorry I'm taking a little bit of time. But a couple of things that should be addressed. 36 kids' lives are going to change today. 36 more are going to change tomorrow. Their families, they're going to change because they're going to be diagnosed with some type of form of pediatric cancer. Our kids are worth more than 4%. I hold 4 cents in my hand. That's exactly how much of every dollar goes to pediatric cancer research, just 4 cents. This year, I'm again running the Philadelphia Marathon for Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation. I do have a Facebook page. If anybody decides they want to go on it and make a donation, you can do it directly. I do not see the money. It goes directly to Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation. The name of my Facebook page is Angel's Army, running for a cure for pediatric cancer. My daughter's name was Angel, so I've been doing it for her. It's not easy. It's not easy being around people who have cancer. I've lost 4 relatives with it. I can't imagine having to see your child go through it. Everyone wants to know, everyone goes, why do you do it? Why do you do it? Well, running a marathon is not easy, especially when you're like me. I know I got the typical marathoner's body. I'm vertically challenged and horizontally enhanced. For those of you who don't know what that means, that's just a PC way of saying I'm short and fat. It's okay to laugh. I make jokes about it all the time. Jacob, last year when I ran, passed away 4 hours before I started that race. And every step of the way, I kind of knew. I hurt my knee. I could feel like little hands wrap around it. I totally blew it out at mile 18, and I could just feel it the rest of the way. My goal is simple. If we can find one cure for one form, I think it's going to be a roadmap to find cure for all forms of cancer. Pediatric, breast cancer, colon cancer, all kinds of cancers. We need to find that one breakthrough. And the reason why I choose Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation is simple. They have, in the past year, along with the Jimmy Fund and many other pediatric cancer foundations, have come up with the first clinical trials this year for humans that have found what they think might be the cure for DIPG. Alex's Lemonade Stand also, on their own, in correlation with, I believe it's the Baylor Children's Hospital, University of Baylor Children's Hospital, are starting clinical trials for neuroblastoma, which is the second deadliest form of pediatric cancer. If you guys donate the money to me, anyone out there wants to donate money through my webpage, like I said, it goes straight to Alex's Lemonade Stand. Much appreciated. My goal is just to raise awareness. If you want to do to St. Jude's, Boston Children's Hospital, any other organization, it's well worth it. The 3 hospitals that Alex's Lemonade Stand does do around here is Dartmouth-Hitchcock, which is, I believe, in New Hampshire. However, Dartmouth-Hitchcock is the parent organization of Southern Vermont Medical Center in Bennington. They also do Hartford Children's Hospital. And for the life of me, I cannot think of the children's hospital that's in Worcester, but they donate money to that. It's not just for research. It's for parents who need places to stay. While their kids are in the hospital getting experimental treatment, they take care of the bills. They do everything to help the families as well. So like I said, it is Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month or Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Anyone out there, if you decide you have bottles and cans that you want to donate, give me a call, shoot me a message on Facebook. I'll come to your house and pick them up. I've already done it. I'll keep doing it. So I just want to say thank you, and hope everyone has a good night.
Thank you, Jason. Anyone else who would like to address the board? Do you have your name and address, please, for the record?
From 99 North Summer Street. To the board, yes. I'm a little concerned. I live at 99 North Summer. The street flooded. The street is getting worse, not better. I didn't even have this much damage when we had Irene several years ago. I want to know what our plan is. Something needs to be done. I don't even know how long it's been since the drains have been cleaned out. The water built up. I went out and tried to open them along with other neighbors. The town didn't do anything and they watched. I should not have to go out there and do that myself. I'd like to know, I feel they're negligent. I know they had a lot of compliments tonight, and that's a good thing. The fire department did a great job, the wardens did. I want to know why these town people were watching me clean out the drains.
Now, North Summer Street is, we have the usual areas when we have these type of storms that we deal with. And North Summer Street, I drove through that. I didn't see anybody clean, it was maybe after or before you got
I
out there.
have video, I have pictures.
I
whatever you
agree.
need.
I've seen the pictures. I've already seen those. And I saw it. It was there. I think it was the first time that that's happened in over 20 years since people at DPW can remember.
It does flood out.
Right, but not
for
that.
the most part, not that bad.
Not that bad, and I
It's
agree.
getting worse.
So that is now another issue area, a problem area that we're going to have to deal with. I don't want to get into a lot of detail of, and I thank you, which I agree, you shouldn't be out there being the one that has to clean out the drains. And
Can somebody explain why no one came out to help?
again, not getting too far into it, they were not town employees that were standing
You don't
there.
really want to go with that story.
Well,
I live across the street.
Yeah.
We see these guys every morning. They're out hanging out in front of the garage. When their shift starts, they go in and they go to work. We see these guys all the time.
yep, I'd be glad to meet with you and Donna, and we can discuss that further. I want to discuss it.
Or let me ask you this, I would like to see their time slips. I want to see when they punched in, and I want to know where they were from the time they punched in till 9 o'clock.
Right, so you're dealing with now, again, I'm not gonna get to a lot of detail, but when you start asking those type of things, you're getting into the legal aspects of things, which employees have their rights, and that, again, not getting to, I think it would be better that the three of us sit down and let's talk about this first, and you're welcome to come back to a meeting.
All right,
But
so
I just wanna make sure, you're making these accusations, which you shouldn't have been out there cleaning out that drain.
I agree.
And I agree. If I saw you there, I would have helped you out, but those are the type of things we cannot discuss in this type of a setting. So in the public meeting, getting into those type of details about time cards and accusing employees of this or that, we can meet and we can get legal counsel involved, and feel free to come back and talk again about it. But I want to make sure that we all have a good understanding of what actually happened from the town side, and we can hear from your side. I see pictures that you have too, so I want to make sure that we go through those first.
When I opened up the manholes on the west side of the road, the water started going down. They never even came out to see if the manholes were plugged. They just never came out of the garage.
Right. So I'd like to meet and discuss with you and Donna the details.
Okay.
So I could-
What happens with my property damage?
I'm not, it's probably, I'm not going to say, again, I don't have the answer to that. We always refer to legal counsel, or, I don't have that answer this evening. I can't give you that answer this evening. I don't want to give you something that I'm not positive about. So, again, it's best that we discuss. And then, again, feel free to come back to this meeting, a public meeting, and express your opinions. But I'd rather we sat down and walk through this, and to make sure that the town can have the opportunity to respond, and investigate, and discuss this further.
Okay. So we tried to undo the drains, get the water flowing. All the time, the traffic was still going through, which was creating waves, hitting my house, water pouring in. We couldn't even have the traffic stopped. All we wanted was the traffic stopped, and we couldn't even do that. The vehicles were going through nonstop. Nobody was doing anything.
Right, so I think, you know, the signs were put up, road closed, and people didn't abide, I hear.
Well, apparently it wasn't a sign that was put out in English because the cars went right by the
Right, so that,
sign.
again, that's, in the,
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
go ahead.
So in that situation, I did investigate that, and quite frankly, you know, we typically barricade the entire road, you know? In the case here, they just put, I think, a
Small horse.
Right, one horse, and it was right on the crown. So it had, as you had indicated, and then I verified, it was able to have traffic on
was,
each
yes.
side. So unfortunately, the reality is that DPW, I mean, did not, I mean, they had their barricades, their horses out everywhere. So I've talked to Tim Cota, the superintendent, and we need to order more. We need to have better signage. That kind of situation that you experienced where the cars continued to go through and they were creating a wake to go onto your property, that's just unacceptable. When a road is closed, it needs to be closed.
Were you able to hear the video with the water going into the cellar?
I haven't looked at that one yet, but.
Okay, so basically what was happening, every time a vehicle went through, it created a wave,
Right.
slapping against my house, pouring right into the cellar.
So what we're trying to do as a board and as town administrator is try to work with you and others to try to fix these type of things that happen. A lot happened in one morning and plus a
I get that.
week ago. So we're trying to sort through all this, what happened, but we don't have all the answers this evening, and we can't respond to a lot of things, but I'd like to have a
I would
meeting.
absolutely love to do that.
I
Because
would
right
too.
now, I'm looking at negligence.
And that would help us. It would help the board and the town to have a better understanding of what happens. We weren't all there at the time, so.
Nobody even came out to pitch in. They just watched. You know how frustrating that is?
Understood.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I appreciate you coming to the Selectmen's meeting and expressing your concerns. I appreciate that. Thank you. Next.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I have to kind of disagree with you on one point. I thought, or I've always been told, that just like snow, when it falls, you shovel off your sidewalk in front. You shovel out around fire hydrants. And if the manhole in front of your house gets plugged up with leaves, that's part of your homeowner thing, is cleaning that off.
Yeah, I've seen the shoveling bylaw. I'm not sure about that. Again, we just don't have all the information. So I understand your concern. You have every right to be not pleased at this point, and we're going to do what we can to work with you and find solutions. Yes.
Hi, Elaine Ordusky, 101 North Summer Street. I didn't experience 5 inches of water in my cellar. I just had a moist basement with this smell in the top first floor of my house. I am just curious, because it's just happening recently, are the drains dirty? Do they need to be cleaned? I remember they used to come around and clean each of the manholes with a machine you contracted to somebody. And then I was told by a former DPW worker that our drains possibly drain back through culverts that have not been cleaned out behind the DPW back there, that travel through across and like on the side of the forest wardens. Can we look into that?
Absolutely.
To me, I think that's most important, because why all of a sudden, we've had water there, but not like this. And the water, it's more than it has ever been. And as far as cleaning out the manholes, I'm gonna tell you how many times I clean out my manhole because of the water. We know our situation down there, but you can't control it when a ton of water is coming down. You just have to get out there with a rake and rake it constantly when we have water like this, because everybody's trees, branches, grass cuttings, and
Trash.
everything
Yeah.
accumulates wherever you have an open manhole that's functioning.
Right.
So you have to do this. It's not a choice. If we want to save our property, we have to do this. And I'll tell you, we do this all the time, cleaning out those manholes. Sue and I and Irene, we were up and down that street doing those manholes. She needs a job as a full-time manhole cleaner, let me tell you. But also, with the situation being it is and taking a while, is a possibility to get sandbags?
We were delivering, bringing sandbags out to certain areas, yes, and it is possible to get those.
Because I measured my boots. My boots were 15 inches high. I stood on my grass, which is probably another 3-4 inches high, and my boots were filling with water. So we really kind of need something to help us. If this is going to occur again, who do we call? Where can we get the sandbags? Or do we have to purchase our own sandbags?
Well, the sandbags were available at the DPW garage, so we'll have to have a future announcement where, where people can obtain them and stuff. But they were available because we knew this water, the rain event from Florence was coming, so we
Do we have a DPW number? Because when we were out there at 6:30, 6:15, we didn't know who to call.
I would
for
suggest
this.
just calling the main office here at Town Hall,
Well,
and
is
then,
somebody here at that hour? I mean, what do you do?
oh, you're talking about early, right?
Right, because I mean, it happened, we could have ran over there and got them, loaded up our car and brought them back if they were busy.
Well, we'll have
If we
to.
could get across the road.
Right, yeah, we can look into that, having a stockpile there, so that it's maintained as the stockpile. And so then citizens know that they'll be able to get it, particularly in advance of, predicted rain events.
Okay.
I mean, what we had last week wasn't, no one anticipated that at all.
Right,
And
but last week wasn't as bad as this one was this time.
in different
for some
areas,
reason.
it depended on where you were in the town.
Right. And is there a pump available where you could park the pump there and pump the water
No,
down
but
into the culvert?
I mean, I know the wardens and the fire department, have been very helpful to individual homeowners. So I think it's, just trying to, they kind of understand where the worst case is, but I think if you call them, like in the future, if you're having a problem,
Well,
they'll
we
get
got the
there.
wave from them.
Okay, all right, well,
But, what do you do?
Right.
But if there is a number, or if we can have access to these sandbags, it would be very helpful. I guess we'll have to anticipate if we think it's gonna be a bad storm.
Right.
Until something is resolved. Because the only reason I called my insurance company, and the only way you can have coverage is you have to buy flood insurance, which she said at minimum was over $800. It's a separate policy that you could purchase in order not to have coverage for your damage in your house.
But
And
as
that gets a little
the chairman
expensive.
and the vice chairman said, we're entering a period where we've never experienced these types of storm events. So the town is trying to make ourselves less vulnerable, so there's less damage to individual homeowners, but it's going to take some time for
Right.
us to properly
understand.
prepare.
I just want somebody to look into, where are our drains going? Because I did leave you a message. Are they going into the treatment plant? And are we out there like fools trying to clean something that's backed up that we
Right.
can't do? Or is it going to a culvert that is full of silt at the end that nobody has maintained in the last 12 years?
And to answer that particular question, Elaine, I mean, you're absolutely right. Those, the drains have to be cleaned out. We periodically clean out the catch basins, making sure the catch basins and then the piping system they're clean. That's going to be increasingly important as we go forward. They're
Right.
going to have to be, spick and span, because
Right.
the system won't work without it. I'll be reporting to the board that we're under the state's MS4 program, which is a stormwater management program. We just had to submit paperwork to that. And that's one of the main requirements of that program, is to have a regular schedule of cleaning out your catch basins and your pipes, so.
And I'm sort of handicapped, and if I need help with these sandbags, will I get help with getting these sandbags, or is that up to me to find to get these sandbags?
We would certainly try to accommodate that,
Okay.
so, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who'd like to address the board?
Erica.
Erica?
Thank you. My name's Erica Drugente. I'm the director at the Senior Center. I also live on Maple Street in Adams. For the residents that we do have here, and please spread the news to some of the other residents who had to leave, but the town does have the Council on Aging Department that manages a grant. It's an emergency grant up to $500 called the Neighbor to Neighbor. It is not town funding. It is a grant through the Berkshire Taconic Foundation. And we just administer that grant. And it is one time up to $500. So if we do have a community who's come across some damages as a result of these storms, or having to put in quite a bit of money for, lost large items in their basement, washers and dryers, whatever it might be, you know, whatever damages you may have come across, please contact us at the Council on Aging, and I'd be happy to sit down with you and find out how that grant can help you. And if you need any assistance moving sandbags, we have a slew of great volunteers as well as our Council on Aging van drivers that would be more than happy to help you move those things. So aside from that, I just wanted to take a quick minute to promote our event tomorrow that we've been working a long time to plan, our Live Well Expo. I'm really excited about it this year. We have over 60 vendors coming to the Senior Center in the Visitor Center, and tomorrow, 11 to 2. And like I said, over 60 vendors that all represent different aspects of living well. So living well is different for everybody. So we have a wide range of vendors coming from long-term care facilities to home health aid agencies to chair massages that are coming to gyms that are available in the area. We have demonstrations as well in the area of Tai Chi, chair yoga, trek pole walking, which is a great new thing. We also have Matter of Balance, which is a great fall prevention program that are 8-week courses, I believe, right? Mr. Bush is a trainer for that program as well. And they're offered across Berkshire County, so we're going to have a demonstration on those. We also have a vendor coming out of Vermont that is going to have 5 different adaptive bicycles. So they're great bikes that are not necessarily a traditional bicycle, and they meet different needs of a variety of different individuals. To somebody who has hard knees or balance issues, or maybe might be more severely disabled, and you can come and you can try those bicycles and go through a safety course and make sure you're comfortable on them before you take them off onto the rail trail, and consider and find out where you can find more information regarding how to purchase a bicycle like that. We're also going to have bone density screenings. We're going to have a flu clinic. We're going to have the Lions Club doing eye screening, eye tests there. So there's a variety of different things all around living well, as well as presentations. We have a local beekeeper coming to talk about health benefits to local honey. We have a medical marijuana company that's coming out, Canacare Docs out of Pittsfield, who's going to do some question and answering around medical marijuana. And we also have another presenter coming. We have Dr. Pettis coming from Berkshire Health Systems to do a great educational piece on living healthy in different lifestyle tips and techniques. So a very robust program. Also, Yeski's Farm is coming, Farmers Market pop-up as well. And I've missed a ton of things that are also going to be there. So it's really a great, huge, robust program. Music, food, raffles, 11 to 2 at the Senior Center. If you need transportation, just call us. Our van can come and take you down, 743-8333. And aside from that, I wanted to take a separate minute to just talk to you guys about our car that we have, the Fallon Health car that we have. Next Selectmen's meeting, I'm hoping you'll agree to sign an agreement that enters us into the opportunity to inviting the use of that car to share with some of our neighboring communities. And I just have a few quick updates about that now so that you have it in preparation for your consideration of signing that agreement. We currently have 11 volunteers that are utilizing that car and driving that car for us. Almost every single one of our trips has been through a volunteer, which is phenomenal. Our first trip was in May, and since then we've completed 17 trips. We have another half a dozen that we actually ended up having to cancel, or the individual themselves canceled the car request. And we have 6 already scheduled for the near future. So we're averaging a couple of rides a week, actually. And places that we've gone, Albany, Pittsfield, Great Barrington, Lenox, Northampton. So we've been to, as well, Connecticut. So New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut. That car's been able to take us and our community members for some all long-distance medical transportation trips that would have cost the individual hundreds and hundreds of dollars just to receive some medical treatment. So it's been a really great success. We're looking forward to opening that up to our neighbors and helping them out as well. Even though we have 11 volunteers, we still need some more reliable volunteers because we're using those volunteers quite often for these rides. And they're also still working in the community as well as volunteering on different aspects, so they're busy themselves. So I think that's it.
Okay, any questions from the board?
No, once again, I'd like to thank you and the Council on Aging for all you do. We have an elderly population, and anything we can do to help them, and you're certainly doing that. So
All right.
thank you.
Thanks, guys. Hope to see you tomorrow.
Anyone else who would like to address the board?
I just have one thing I want to say.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what part of the road closed, do not enter, people don't understand. I was on Davis Street, I was on Glen Street, I was on Summer Street. Cars flying by me, I yell at them, I get fingered a couple times, you know.
Get used to that, Jim.
I know, I understand that. But you know, we do have people, DPW people out there, emergency personnel out there working. You flying down a road in situations like this, you're in danger in their lives, your life, and everybody else around. When the sign's up there, road closed, please don't go through the signs. Granted, it wasn't all the way across the road, it was right in the middle of the road. It was very clear that the roads were closed. These people should not be passing through there. No, that's all I got to say. It was upsetting, it really and truly was, you know. I, as a selectman, hesitated to go up to Davis Street because I was afraid what I was going to find up there if I could make it up to where it was going to be. And they had no idea what was going on up there. What, you know, what happened if it was a gas leak or a major issue up there where it could have exploded, or, you know, we could have had a Fitchburg or whatever, Lawrence, Mass on our hands up there. We don't know. You know, when it's closed, it's closed. You got to understand that.
Thank you. We had someone else that wanted to address the board? Yes. Could we have your name, please, and your address for the record?
I'm Stephanie Puck. I live at 97 North Summer Street. So I'm sure you heard my neighbors speak about that, so I will be brief, just talking about how disappointing the events that occurred yesterday. I've sent multiple emails, so I don't need to reiterate my emails, and I sent an email on behalf of my boyfriend. So just hoping that something would be changed in the future, so we aren't out there kind of doing the town's work. I know there's multiple things that happened, and we probably don't know the whole story or anything, but just wanted to voice my concern about how appalled I was at the events that occurred yesterday morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I believe to end this, conversation is that we did hear a lot this evening of some issues that happened because of these two storms. The board and the town administrator need to work with our emergency management team to improve on our planning. Sandbags, yes, we should have them. We had some out there. I saw some out there. Were there enough? We just only had less than a week to get ready for that. We need to plan these type of things. If 6 o'clock in the morning, there's water on North Summer Street, who do I call? Who do I contact? We need to look at that. So I think by you being here and talking to us makes a big difference. And again, I appreciate you being here. Instead of hearing things on the social media, as we always say, this means a lot to the board, hearing your stories, and it's going to make us better. And we're going to do everything we can to work together to react to every part of this community. If you've been up to Glen Street, you've seen the crater in that Glen Street. It's amazing to see. Our representatives will be taking a look at that. Up on Davis Street, as Selectman Jim was talking about, we lost another bridge. That was fixed up during Irene. So again, we got to learn from this. There's more to it than just replacing bridges. We can't replace a bridge, next storm and it's gone. There's going to be more to this. But we have to plan for this. We need, and the last thing is, the DPW did an excellent job. They were out there and trying to do the best they could with the equipment that they have and the supplies that they have within a week and a half to take care of all these issues that just came upon us, because the first storm that came upon us, nobody else in the county even felt it. It felt a little rain, and we got hammered here just in this one community. So thanks to them, and we'll continue working. We have to work with our emergency management board and come up with a strong management plan, and we will always continue to update it. Different things will happen as we go, but again, appreciate you being here and talking to the board. One last call. Anyone else like to address the board? Yes, sir. Henry.
Henry, 23 Gould Road. Just want to make a few comments. The drains on West Road are plugged up there, and the drains on Gould Road are plugged. And from the 15th of July up until now, we've had a foot of rain. And anybody who wants to drive through water at 3 inches would get up underneath their car, and the car is going to stop. Water and starters and generators do not mix. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, moving on to new business. Item A, application for a common vic license. Let's see if we get the spelling right here, the pronunciation. The Valhalla Eatery, 85 Commercial Street in Adams. The board has all the required information. What is the board's pleasure?
I make a motion that we issue a license of Valhalla Eatery at 85 Commercial Street in Adams, common victualler license.
We have a motion by Jim. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Christine. Any further discussion from the board? Any questions from the audience? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, none. Unanimous. Best of luck to that new business in town. Next, we have a facility use request from Kent Lemmy. Thank you. For Ramble Fest, which is October 7th, 2018. What is the board's pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, seeing that all of the paperwork is in order, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the facility use request for Berkshire Running Center to use parking spaces in the southbound lane for the start of the race and just parking spaces for the finish of the race up to Town Hall on Sunday, October 7th, 2018, 9:30 a.m. to 12 noon.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion by Christine, second by Jim. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I did speak with the chief. He did, the police chief, he did meet with this group. He did ask them to connect with Greylock Federal Credit Union and alert them that they would be using part of their parking lot as part of the race. The race has changed. It had typically been a half marathon. In years past, they've added a little bit of mileage to this to make it a 15K, and that's why they have to do a little bit of a loop as part of the race to complete the mileage. But I was comfortable with the conversation that the police chief had mentioned he had had with the folks, and I'm only speaking because he's not here.
Yes. So do we have a motion?
We made a motion and a second.
I knew I was going to get that one. So we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Unanimous decision. Next, we have a facility use request for Pro Adams Ramble Fest Visitor Center, October 7th, 2018.
So, Mr. Chairman, the chief was not able to sign this. I held off signing it, even though it is a routine event. I feel that, there's our meeting on the 3rd of October, so we would be able to provide this. I don't think it's going to, hold them up any, so.
There's no one here from Pro Adams? Okay. Okay, what is the board's pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to table the use of the Visitor Center October 7th, 2018 by the Pro Adams for the Ramble Fest until our upcoming next regular meeting.
We have a motion by Joe. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Rick. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Unanimous. We have a request to place a sign on a public way from Pam St. John from the ASCCC. Put the sign on the town hall lawn. This has to do with, I believe, the Susan B. Anthony.
Yeah.
What is the board's pleasure?
I'll make a motion to approve the permit to place a sign on the town hall lawn for the Adams Suffrage Centennial Celebration.
A motion by Christine, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Jim, any discussion?
Yeah.
Yep.
Do we have any dates for how long?
Well, it's 2020, so I think that we'd like to leave it out there until till then. It's a well-built sign. It will withstand the elements. It's nicely made, and at least our board really didn't discuss that. That was my initial thinking, being on the board, but I certainly could put it there, and if there was any discussion amongst the members that they thought that it should be put out for just certain times, certainly we could do that.
Well, my only concern is, it's a 4x8 sheet of plywood, is wind.
No, I've got
If we
it.
have stronger winds or something, is that gonna take this sign?
No, there's gonna be outriggers. It's encased in 4x4s and 6x6s. It's been routed out, so it's inset 3/4 of an inch and enclosed. There's 2 drill holes on each side with 4-foot pegs that will be, well, not 4-foot, excuse me, 2-foot pegs that will into the ground, and then there's gonna be 2-inch outriggers of conduit holding on each side, outriggers, so it should sustain a wind.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
I'm gonna abstain.
Opposed, none, 1 abstention. Next, we have a request to play holiday music. We have a letter. Dear Select Board, I would like to once again request permission to play low-volume holiday music this year, which will run from 8 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. each day, from Thanksgiving through New Year's Day. Sincerely, Martin K. Bush, DDS. What is the board's pleasure?
Make a motion to approve the request to pay Christmas music. I don't see the sheet, so I can't give you the dates.
From Thanksgiving to New Year's Day.
We have a motion by Rick. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second. Anyone from the audience that would like to speak to this issue? Hearing none, all those...
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I did want to just mention, and I know that the letter here states that there was a complaint last year from one of the apartments nearby Dr. Bush's business, and that they did complain that the noise level was at a volume that was a little too high, and that was playing throughout the evening. So I just want to make sure that, although this is a very nice service that Dr. Bush's office is providing, that they are cognizant that there are some residents in that area, and that they do adhere to the 8 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. time frame, and that they do keep it to a low volume for the residents. I see that he has stated that he would, but I would just like to make mention of that.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to just thank Dr. Bush for doing this. It surely brings a festive feeling to our downtown, and I know when this is going on, you see a lot of families with young children looking into the window, watching the train go by. So I just want to thank him for doing this for the community. I think it's something that makes it more spirited time for our holiday season.
Thank you, Joe. Anything else? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, none, unanimous decision. Next, we have library aid / cataloger ratification. Tanya? All right. I usually get the Polish names, right? Okay, so we have a letter here from the interim town administrator, Donna Season, dear Chairman Duval. This letter is to advise the Board of Selectmen that subject to the board's ratification as provided in Section 10 of the town charter, I am pleased to appoint Tanya Garin to the position of library aide cataloger for the Adams Free Library. Ms. Garin comes to the town with several years of experience with the public and children, as well as providing service with local organizations, and I am confident she will be a great support to the library. With the board's ratification, she will begin September 20th, 2018, at a grade 4, step 1, which is a rate of $14.82 per hour. What is the board's pleasure?
Make a motion to ratify the appointment of Tanya Guerin to the position of aide cataloger for the Adams Free Library.
Motion by Rick,
I'll second.
second by Christine. Donna, do you have anything to add?
No, just that, well, I guess I do. The library director did an excellent job, in terms of, reviewing all the applicants. She pulled her second in command to do interviews, and I just wanted to say I think she conducted a very professional recruitment process. So.
And I just have one question for Donna. Does that put our library staff to where we need them? Will this be the last hire that we need to
make them a full complement, yes.
Okay, because I think that our library is a very important asset, and I'm
Yes.
glad that we have the proper number of people there to take care of it.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, none, unanimous decision. Next, we have the recognition of the Maple Grove Civic Club, 80 years of service. And the board has a recognition award here. Joe, who is a member of the Maple Grove Civic Club, would you like to read that, please?
Henry, would you like to come up and represent the club? State your name and your position.
3 Gould Road.
And your position on the...
Position is a rabbi and a raffleman. And when I joined that club 10 years ago, it was just a regular club. Like I say, you don't know what you're getting your nose stuck into until you join.
Yep. His proper office is he's our chaplain, and he does a very good job. So we have a resolution recognizing 80 years of service to the citizens of Adams, Maple Grove Civic Club. Whereas the Maple Grove Civic Club was founded by the Plunkett family in 1938, whereas the Maple Grove Civic Club has provided local members with 80 years of service for community betterment, whereas the Maple Grove Civic Club has provided citizens with a Taxpayers Association and Redevelopment Committee, whereas the Maple Grove Civic Club has provided forums to introduce political candidates, officials, and speakers to citizens, whereas the Maple Grove Civic Club has provided Adams residents over the decades with voting blocks, police service, park benches, lights at crosswalks, and youth sports scholarship to support the community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Selectmen of the Town of Adams hereby recognize the remarkable achievements of the Maple Grove Civic Club through 80 years of service in Adams, acknowledge innumerable contributions of support to the community, and joins the citizens of Adams in expressing their sincere appreciation for the accomplishments and positive impact upon Adams and its residents. If you could step forward, we'd like to present this to you to bring back to the club, and if we could get a picture, I'll get there. Let's go out in front and get a picture of Henry. Henry, we're going to all get together. You can get right in the center and be the... Yes, right.
Sorry.
You want to get in the front here? Okay, Henry.
I'll have Joe hand off the award to him as a fellow member.
Okay, all right. Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Here we go. All right. And one more. Thank you. And we'll get one more here.
Then you gotta let them in.
I know. Well, this'll look good.
You're being kind.
Be kind.
Very gentle.
Now we're back. Next on the agenda, the final item on the new business is the host community agreements review and approval process. It's been a request from the interim town administrator, Donna Season, that we table this agenda item. Is that still the case?
Yes, you know, we are working with Mission Massachusetts, but we felt it would be prudent both, you know, for them to give everything a second review, and then, you know, I was concerned that I hadn't really given the board much headway, you know, time to review it as well. It essentially does follow our template, though, so there's limited changes, but I did want to give the board extra time, so the company said it would be fine to postpone it until our October 3rd meeting.
Do we have a motion to table?
Make a motion to table the host community agreement review and approval for Mission Mass Incorporated.
Motion from Rick. Do we
I'll
have a
second.
Second by Christine. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, none, unanimous. That is it for new business. Moving on to department reports, the town administrator's report. Donna.
Okay, informal report tonight, Mr. Chairman, but I did want to update the board that we have submitted this week the notice of intent to comply with the Massachusetts MS4 Stormwater Management Program. This basically outlines for the next 5 years how we will be complying with the 6 minimum control measures that are identified in the program. We have, it included dates, it included responsible parties. Most of this, as you can imagine, is coming from DPW operations, community development. There are some areas where we would be partnering with maybe potentially the college, MCLA, or like the Hoosick River Watershed Association. But as we go forward, and if our notice of intent, if our plan is accepted, we'll be providing the board additional information in terms of the next several years, how we will be complying with that program. I wanted to let the board know, if it hasn't already, that our treasurer-collector, Kelly Rice, is now fully certified as a treasurer-collector in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So she, as you know, was taking her testing, and she successfully passed that. So she's pleased about that, as we all are. Bids for the town hall roof, I wanted to remind the board, those are due tomorrow at 4 p.m. So we hope we'll have good interest, but a single solid bid will do. So we're hoping with the bid results, which we'll share with the board, but we're hoping we can go forward with that project. And then finally, given a lot of our discussion tonight and what we've been experiencing the last several weeks, I wanted to let the board know that I've been in communication with Richard Kleiner, our emergency management director. We are going to reinstitute the, we used to have emergency management meetings of all the responsible departments and parties quarterly. We're going to reinstitute that. Our first meeting, we're going to schedule the first or second week in October. Also, in talking to, you know, Dick, we're going to be looking at the town's emergency management plan. I've reviewed it recently, and quite frankly, it's boilerplate. It's very generic. We need to update it. We need to make it Adams specific. We need to include you know, protocol, as we heard tonight, proper protocol for flooding events. We've had heating events that the plan needs to identify protocol for that. It needs to identify our shelters and in what order of priority are they there. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, but I know this board and certainly the you know, my staff colleagues, we are very interested in being better prepared and having our operations be exemplary. So I just wanted to let you know that we are working on that, and I will keep the board informed. So,
Thank you, Donna. Any questions?
I'd just like to request in these quarterly meetings, as the chairman is a member of
I agree.
this team, and I think that if possible, the chairman and/or vice chairman should make these the meetings, or a member if they can. So I think somebody from the board should be at
Definitely
these
agree with
meetings.
that.
Board will have representation.
Yeah.
So myself, then the vice chair, then designee after that.
I think that's a great idea.
Yep.
Okay, good. Anything else for Donna?
Yes, just one other comment. There's been, we've been talking about water. I'm sure everybody's aware of this, but there's some problems with the roof at Adams Elementary School.
Yes.
It's leaking quite badly, and I think we all know that. And I think in time we're going to have to do something about it because it's not going to get any better.
We had a building committee meeting yesterday. We actually walked around the entire building with the school principal. She showed us all of the areas where it's leaking. We're working on how to address it, not only the quickest way, but the most cost-effective way. But we want a fix that will last.
Right.
So we are looking at that, and it was alarming. So
Yeah.
so it's a high priority.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else for Donna? All right, next, town council report. Attorney St. John.
Thank you. I've had further discussions with staff and opposing counsel concerning a potential claim. I've reviewed the agenda for reasons to go into executive session. I'm referring to the agenda that we dealt with in a past executive session. And lastly, I attended an executive session to discuss a personnel matter.
Any questions for Attorney St. John?
Yes, I just have one. How are we, Attorney St. John, how are we progressing with the property down on Holland Avenue, Delagelfa property? Where does that stand?
Well, I've spoken with the attorney that represents the owner of the property, and in fact, Donna had provided me with an access agreement, and he has assured me that the access agreement will be returned signed to me, but that was several weeks ago. I've followed that up with a personal discussion with him to remind him of it, and he again assured me that that was going to happen. That was like maybe last week, so I'll check in with him again and find out how he's doing with it.
Okay, thanks. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, anything else for the Attorney St. John? Hearing none, moving on to subcommittee and liaison reports. Rick?
I'll say nothing. I'll let you,
Christine?
Donna had already mentioned that we did have a building maintenance meeting with the school committee folks, or a member of the school committee, superintendent, business manager, and principal. The focus was really about the roof and identifying the areas and where it is leaking. We are still working through their maintenance and project list and trying to identify projects that we need a little bit more information about before we can go out to bid on. So it was another good meeting, but it was definitely alarming.
Okay. Joe?
I have nothing.
Jim?
I attended Northern Berkshire Solid Waste Management District meeting this past Thursday. There's going to be a recycling coming up, community recycling and paper shredding at the All Saints Episcopal Church in North Adams. It's on Saturday, September 22nd, at Steeple City Park Plaza lot. The only thing that they won't be taking will be household electronics, appliances, stoves, washing machines, dryers, refrigerators, large electronic items. There's going to be paper shredding on site from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. by the box or by the truckload for a donation. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. I personally have several meetings coming up in the near future in regards to the Berkshire Regional Planning Commission and the Metropolitan Planning Organization, and I will provide status after those meetings have concluded. Moving on to announcements in good of the order. Rick?
no.
Christine?
Two, So it looked like the youth center put a notice in our mailboxes that their 5th annual chair auction is taking place. It is an online auction, and it is open until September 21st. I think if you go on their Facebook page, you'll find the web address for that. And then I also wanted to just bring to everyone's attention that this Friday, there will be another art installation. It's actually already installed and unveiled. That's the nature of this particular piece, but Art on the Trail will be Grove on Grove by Franz Gonzalez. Franz is a carpenter by trade. He's over on Grove Street. His business is Hewn Furniture, but some of you may have seen the artwork that is on the trail, so if you want to take that. But they'll be unveiling that, like I said, it's already unveiled, on Friday at 5:30. There'll be a nice reception to honor the artist, and it's the Arts Advisory group that has been working with Franz on this piece.
Okay. Joe?
Just like to reiterate, we've gone over this quite a bit today about the drainage problems in our community. I just want to let the people know that we're really looking at them. We've known this as a board for quite a long time. It's a difficult thing to rectify, but I know I can speak for the board and say that we're going to give it our all to do it, because this is just going to become more prevalent as time goes on in this community.
Okay. Jim?
I don't have anything.
Okay, so we're going to go into executive session. Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
Make a motion to enter executive session for purpose number 2, to conduct strategy sessions in the preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel.
Motion by Rick. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
This is a second by Christine. Roll call vote. Rick?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
Yes. Joe?
Yes.
And Jim?
Yes.
The board will come out of executive session, and the agenda item is approval of town administrator consulting services. Okay? 5-minute break.